This episode of The Rest is Football is powered by Saily because no one wants to spend their holiday hunting for Wi-Fi. We've all done it. What's something you always forget when you travel? That all-important working mobile connection, right?
Nothing worse when you were on a golf trip and you're on the course and you're looking to keep up with the football scores and you've got no signal. Absolute disaster, especially, by the way, with the tune flying high.
He's got Newcastle and mention. Well done, Al. Sounds like you could have used Saily. It's a global eSIM app, affordable data in over 200 countries. Install once and you're connected wherever you go. No faffing with airport SIMs or searching for Wi-Fi like it's your lost ball on the back nine, Alan. Saily even saves you money because you can avoid high roaming fees when you're abroad. To get an exclusive discount on Saily eSIMs, go to saily.com/restisfootball or click the link in the episode description box. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. We had a great day at Wembley yesterday for the FA Cup final when Crystal Palace managed to beat Manchester City for their first ever major trophy. It was a lot of fun. Where are you, Alan? Tell us.
I'm in beautiful Belfast. So
the sun's shining.
It is, honestly, it's been shining. There's not a cloud in the sky all day. Arrived here this morning with my mates for one of my pals' birthday celebrations. And somehow we've managed to play a beautiful golf course today called Malone. And you know what the Irish are like. They can't do enough for you. They're just so nice. They've just looked after us as if we're kings, you know. And we played their golf course today in Malone. We're playing Portrush tomorrow. And I've been told all the stands are up on the 1st, on the 18th.
Yeah, because the British Open's there this year, isn't it? The Open Championship.
And then we're playing number one course in the world on Tuesday, Royal County Down.
County Down, are you playing there? I've never played there. Wow.
Yeah, so,
amazing. Great.
Beautiful.
How many golf trips a year do you go on, Alan?
What are you, my fucking wife or what?
In your dreams. Oh dear. And Micah, you're still in London?
Yeah, I'm still in London. A little bit. I feel a little bit worse for wear, to be honest.
Have you had a good night? Have you?
Yeah, I've had a few drinks. But you know what? I'm going again. I don't care. I'm going again.
Oh yeah, a little glass of
Have a Guinness as well, Micah. There you go. Have a Guinness.
Yeah, I've got a Guinness over there. I'll have that a bit later on. What about you guys? What's happening?
Well, I cooked for the boys today. I'm at home and I managed to burn myself on numerous places. When I dropped the rack of lamb into the hot fat and it went all over and I've quite bad burns on my wrist. But apart from that, it's been lovely day.
Have you taken your meds?
I need to take meds for this. Yeah. It's quite painful, to be honest.
Stop picking on him, will you? Stop picking on the old man.
I deserve it. It's okay.
Before we go into the game, guys, can I just ask you, because you guys, and you Al as well, you've done the FA Cup finals for a while now, and the game was brilliant, but how do you know if it's a successful broadcast, do you know?
I don't think you can probably judge in terms of how a successful broadcast is. You get a feeling for it, but what you do know is when a broadcast goes wrong and there are major issues. And it's, as you know, it's live football. It's not easy. And especially when you pitch side at the end and it's hard to hear each other think and speak and it's all off the cuff. I think it went well. The viewing figures were really good. Got those this morning, which was encouraging. And overall, the feedback's been pretty good in terms of the coverage. I thought, Alan, I hate blowing smoke up your arse, but I thought you're very good in co-coms. Studio was fun with Glenn and Wayne Rooney as well, with you, Micah. So I think overall, it's all, it's a big day, the FA Cup final. It's a big day, always has been. It's not the monster it used to be. When you used to build up, used to be about 8 hours, and you start with, it's a knockout in the morning, all those sort of things. But no, I think it went pretty well. Considering how tricky it is, especially for us, Micah, because you watch 80 minutes of the game, don't you? And if you're going to go pitch side, you have to run, and we missed 10 minutes. And then we're in a corner huddled with everyone else, and you're trying to see what's going on. And then you're trying to work out what the hell you're going to do at the end of the game. But it's fun though, isn't it? It's a buzz.
It is fun because we've got the screens and everything, because they've got to set up all the screens. And when Alan's talking or wrapping up, we're sort of trying to listen to what he's saying. So we're basically not saying the same thing that he's just said for the last 5 minutes, but it's so loud, you can't hear anything. And then when you sort of on pitch side, it's not the greatest shot in terms of how it looks on TV. And Whitey, our floor manager, keeps saying to me, turn this. He kept literally pulling me around. I said, sorry, Whitey, it just feels awkward, you know?
Yeah.
And it's chaotic, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I thought there was a great balance, by the way, yesterday. I mean, I know you're saying good things about me, and I don't want to be nice, but I thought there's a great balance in the studio yesterday. The balance of the questions and the balance of Wayne, the experience of him, and Glenn, and obviously you, Micah. I thought it was a really, really great cup final with a great show. I really did. I thought the atmosphere was great, and how it was pitched and everything else was very, very good.
I told you early in the season, Al, this is the season of the clubs that haven't, 70 years for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Like they're a whole lifespan of Crystal Palace, their first trophy. PSG possibly the Champions League as well. Who knows? Tottenham might win their first trophy for donkey's years if they beat Manchester United. Maybe it's that year.
It looks that way, doesn't it? It looks that way, doesn't it? I mean, because of Newcastle's record, not many people other than the Geordies predicted Newcastle beating Liverpool. City were obviously the favourites yesterday because of who and what they are and their record at Wembley and everything else. So I think it's been even in the Premier League, with Bournemouth, with Forest, with Fulham, with Brighton, with Man City being how they've been. I think it's been. I've really, really liked this season for many, many reasons.
I think it's good that it's not always the same old suspects.
Good for football.
I think it's good for football. It's good for the Premier League to mix it around, and we can see that it is possible. Even we'll come to it later, but even Forest winning today to keep themselves massively in contention, huge victory for them at West Ham. Just as you thought, they're going to collapse towards the end of the season. So many good things. And I have to say, I do know Steve Parish reasonably well. I'd consider him a good friend. And I was delighted for him and Crystal Palace and their supporters to have that moment. And you know exactly what it feels like, Alan, because you've just experienced it a couple of months ago. And it's magical, isn't it? And I think pretty much, I would imagine right around the country, City have won so much. Even some of the fans that I've spoken to, a couple of them on the way out yesterday when I was walking on my way home, 2 or 3 of them came up and said, do you know what? Actually, we don't mind too much. I mean, it's always horrible to lose when it's your team, but they've won so many things and done so well. I thought it was lovely that Crystal Palace won.
We were amongst the Crystal Palace fans where we were looking down from our commentary position, me and Guy Mowbray. And I have to say, it was. It had the atmosphere like from Man City fans. We've been here so many times. We've enjoyed great success, and it was not the privilege, not the we deserve to be here, but it felt like the desperation of Crystal Palace far outweighed the need for Man City to win the FA Cup, and that's very, very similar to what happened to Newcastle and to me a month ago or 6 weeks ago, whenever it was. It really felt like that, and everything the Newcastle fans had, the Crystal Palace fans had, and when I felt the hurt and everything else when the board 10 minutes went up for like the extra time or the injury time. It was like, oh my! I could just see everyone going, oh no, 10 minutes. It was like, but. Yeah, I was pleased.
It reminded me a little bit of when Leicester beat Chelsea. When Leicester got the lead, and then it's just like, to be honest, Leicester didn't really have many attacks in that game, and they scored the wonder goal from Yuri Tielemans, and it was and then hanging on at the end, and then you remember the VAR, and it was like, it was just agonising. I thought that as well. I was thinking every Palace fan is going through the mill at the moment.
Absolutely.
As from a City side of things, Micah, it's been a tough old season.
Yeah, it's not been great at all. I think winning that could have maybe restored a little bit of pride for their season, finish on a high in the league, the sixth in the Premier League, and they lost the final. But in all honesty, I thought Man City played really well in that first half.
First half, I thought so as well.
I thought
it was more like the City of old, wasn't it?
Correct, but many times I've said with City, they've gone away from what was good, winning the ball back nice and early, strangling their opposition, keeping the ball very well, 8% possession in that first half. In terms of the intensity that they showed, winning the ball back and then keeping the ball, just that final touch. I think the bigger picture for Man City now is what do they do next season? I think if you look at their squad, the past 4 years have been brilliant, and I think in every position, and I think everyone's been playing to the best of their abilities. But if you look actually at the team that started in the cup final, you've got Doku, he's nearly there, isn't he? He's not ready right now. You've got Savinho, who's also nearly there. Nico O'Reilly, he's done ever so well recently, scoring a lot of goals, really good on the ball. It's helped the team, got some good, important goals and assists, but he's not ready to go in. Kyle Walker goes to AC Milan. They need some more fullbacks. They need another midfielder, and I think they need a left winger. And to see Jack Grealish not come on the pitch yesterday and to bring on the young lad did all right when he came on. But all these questions need answering, really. And I think Pep is going to have the fire in his belly for next season. We know what a top coach he is. But in terms of the players, if you would have asked me, would you think City need a restart a year ago? I would say not a chance. But I actually believe they do now because of the performances. Even on this sort of run in the last 10 games where they've been getting over the line. But there have been a shadow of the side that they have in previous seasons.
Do you know we've been saying all season it's Rodri, and he's an amazing player. It's bigger than a Rodri problem. There's no way that one player can fix the problems that Man City have got. Did it surprise me yesterday? No, because that's what they've been like all season. They didn't deserve to win it. They didn't do enough to win it. And you've mentioned Jack Grealish. His time's up at Man City. He has to leave. For him to bring a debutant on, a young boy, and Gundogan on when they're desperate for a goal rather than Jack Grealish. His time's up. He's done at Man City. He has to leave for whatever reason. Pep's done with him. He doesn't like him. His time's up. It really is.
You know what's sad, though? The fact that players make moves, don't they? And sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. But I feel as though Jack's played within himself. You know, if we'd gone there and be losing the ball because he was trying to take people on and, making the wrong pass or whatever, but I don't feel like we've seen the real Jack Grealish.
Play too safe?
Yes, and I think people
even the wingers yesterday were safe. Yeah. It was like, I was in the commentary looking at Doku and Savinho and thinking, how many times did you actually go past your marker? How many, 1v1, how many times you actually... I looked at Savinho in the first half and thinking, you've got 20 minutes, you've never gone past the defender once. Yet, the only time the defender, Mitchell, has gone past is when Bernardo Silva takes him on and gets the penalty. But, obviously, something has been said at half-time, because Savinho, within 6 minutes, the first 6 minutes he goes past Mitchell 3 times and puts really good balls in the box. But then, for whatever reason, stops. Say whatever you want about Haaland, and he was clearly not anywhere near his best and he wasn't fit. But I tried to say in a sort of a polite way yesterday in the core comms that sometimes it would do my head in playing with
Totally.
wingers like that. We're thinking, just put the ball in the box, please. Yeah. Get the ball in the box, and then it's my job to get on the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if the ball isn't coming in the box, you're looking at Haaland at the moment, and you're thinking, he's not really making the moves anymore because he knows he's not going to come in anyway.
Yeah. But having said all that, he's got 30 goals this season. He's got 21 in 28 in the Premier League. But it's only because of Man City's ridiculously high standards and his ridiculously high standards that he's got 30 goals. But for me, there's so much more in there if wingers or wide players, whatever you want to call them, didn't play safe a lot of the time.
But that must be coaching.
Yeah,
I remember
keep the ball, possession-based football.
Yeah, I spoke to Thierry Henry, and when he was at Barcelona under Pep, he said he made one movement which he wasn't supposed to make in terms of how they wanted to set up when there was building up. And I don't think he said he subbed him, but he said at halftime, "Don't do that ever again, or you're not going to play." So he has a way, and maybe the wingers in the team just feel as though they've got to do exactly what the manager says. Well, where sometimes on the pitch, you've got to make decisions for yourself, you know? Yeah. And I think it's sometimes a little bit of a cop-out as well. We can talk about Pep's tactics or whatever, but if you're in a situation where you can beat a man, you've got to take it. It's as simple as that. Doku
beats players all the time, but ultimately doesn't necessarily get the crossing either, because then he wants to go back and beat them again. He's a little bit frustrating. I mean, it'd be terrifying to play against, because, I mean, he's brilliantly like off the mark and dropping a shoulder and going the other way, and he's really difficult. But he just, as a striker though, Alan, as you well know, I mean, wingers used to do my head in, honestly, except with a few exceptions in my career, most notably with England, with Waddle and Barnes, who were unbelievable.
Yeah, you can't argue against Pep and his system and everything.
No, of course you can't. I mean,
hugely successful, and he's an absolute genius, and maybe one of the best, if not the best, we've ever seen as a manager. So I'm not arguing against what his system is, but I'm just talking about selfishly from a forwards point of view. And I looked at Haaland yesterday, I'm thinking, oh my God, honestly, it would frustrate the hell out of me to play with wingers like that, or wide players, whatever you want to call them, who are just happy to get the ball and go to the defender. You can't beat him, and then knock it back, and you go pass, across, goes back to the other winger, you go, or I'm not beating him, it comes, and you think, any chance of putting the ball in? So
frustrating it would be. Yeah. While we're on the subject of Haaland, obviously one of the big talking points was the fact that he didn't take the penalty. Now, I know he's missed 3 this season out of 7, and Marmoush has scored his last 7 prior to the final yesterday. We're talking on Sunday evening here. But it was an unusual one because Haaland had the ball in his hands, and Pep was interesting with his quotes after. He said, "No, I'll leave it to the players. They decide. It's all about the feeling of the moment." And I asked you at half time, didn't I, in the two-way there, and I said, well, can you imagine not, like, especially in an FA Cup final? I mean, I missed a penalty in an FA Cup final.
They just got that in before we did, eh?
Well, yeah, we did show it. Slipped it in.
Yeah, I was absolutely amazed that one of the best players or best finishers in world football gave up the opportunity to take a penalty, a 1v1 from 12 yards in an FA Cup final at Wembley. I was amazed. I was staggered. I don't care how many you've missed this season. I'm astonished that he actually gave the opportunity up to put his team level, or try and put his team level. And if Marmoush goes, no one says a word. So, okay, fine.
Of course, that's so true.
You run the risk of what we're talking about now, and the negativity and all of those things, because there's no way ever that the best players in world football, Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, all of these guys, whoever, and you can go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, there's no way the best players in world football, the best goal scorers, give up the chance to do what he did yesterday.
Especially when he's normally quite ballsy, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's got that confidence, he's got that arrogance. So when he picked up the ball, I'm thinking, he's going to stick this home. But then when he give it to Marmoush, who I've been a little bit disappointed with. I mean, it
takes time to adjust. It's hard coming in mid-season, isn't it?
It definitely does. But he's got the ability, to do a lot more.
He's never scored at Wembley, Erling Haaland. He's never scored in a final for Man City. Yeah, you've got a penalty from 12 yards. You say, "There you go, mate. Over to you." What? Seriously?
Yeah. I thought it was really. I couldn't believe it.
And what about the Henderson's comments after the game saying, I knew where Marmoush was going to put the penalty. But what I didn't know was if Erling take the penalty, where he would have put it.
That. The other
I was
big
like, it looks even worse, you know? It's like, it's not a good look for me.
There were two things why I thought Henderson would save that. One was the fact that he probably should have had a red card just before it.
Not probably, because I think what we did, we got caught up in the emotion of the game, and because it was a fairy tale story for Palace, we thought it was good for the game. And you're totally right, guys. It was good for the game because you don't want a keeper to get sent off. But that decision, having watched it back, because don't forget, in the emotions of the game, when you're doing it live, you get a couple of angles on whatever it is, and it's loud after the game. But how he got away with that is an absolute disgrace.
Do you think it was because of an FA Cup final and the scenario and everything else? And
rules are rules.
I know they are, yeah.
I've got nothing against Palace. The fans were great. Special day out for them. Winning the first major trophy. I'm all for that, you know. They deserve their time. But we have to look at the details of how that happened. And to get away with that, it's a really bad look. And I don't want to go double and say, it's the worst decision I've ever seen, because I know the effects that it had last time with the referees. But if you actually look and watch the game and watch all the angles, it's as clear as day. And then when they come up with that nonsense to you, Gary, at halftime, and you had to read out the quotes or whatever it was, or the terminologies or the keywords or whatever. it was absolute nonsense. Just say, we made a mistake, and we all make mistakes. Week in, week out, and we move on, you know?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was happening. I said it in co-coms, is that the only thing they'll look at is if he's running away from goal, and do they think it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? I knew it.
Yeah, but there's the word in that rule denying a goal-scoring opportunity. The word "obvious" doesn't actually exist on that generally. So, having said all that, I was quite relieved because it would have spoiled the game, I think. But it doesn't make it right.
Yes, correct.
It doesn't make it right. And there was no question he was lucky. He was very lucky because, I mean, the reason the ball moved to the side was because he swiped it out of the way.
That's the bit that I couldn't get my head around. And I'm just thinking to myself, just calm yourself down. When he was reading it out, and when you've got people in the ears, you know, we've got Rich in our ears, the director or producer, whatever you call them, different things on different shows. And he's explaining it to me. And he said, because of the direction of the ball. But
that wasn't Richard's opinion. That was the opinion that came from VAR. We were getting information from VAR. Yeah.
I did think that straight away when the ball and him, Erling Haaland, were running out to that direction. I did think that that's what they were sort of going to come up with, you know.
But when you watch it back and the words that they used, I mean, come on, it's a clear opportunity. Let's not.
It's definitely a goal scoring opportunity.
It is.
If he doesn't handball it outside his box. It was funny with Glasner in the interview at the end of the game, and he obviously thought that they must have decided that it was in the box.
Yes.
And he's gone, but it was in. And I went, no, actually, it's definitely outside the box. And he just went, good decision.
To be fair, though, the angle that we showed him at the time, you couldn't really see. It was a wide angle that he needed, or it might have already been played. But by the time he looked at the screen,
the obvious angle,
yeah, it was the angle, wasn't it?
We should move on to Crystal Palace, and we'll start with the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. I thought what a game. I know he was lucky, we know that. But you need luck to win competitions sometimes. You need a break. And Crystal Palace got theirs. But apart from that, he made some fun. Obviously, the penalty, we've already talked about that. Wonderful save for that. He made 2 or 3 other brilliant saves, particularly in the first half. I thought he had an absolutely wonderful game.
Outstanding. He was absolutely fantastic. It was such a strange game for him because he made a really good save from Haaland in the first couple of minutes. He then dropped a corner or pushed a corner out for a corner. He then made the mistake, which he could have been sent off with, you know, and then obviously the penalty save. So, I mean, I would have give him if we had the choice, I would have probably given him man of the match. But there were
It's
so
hard
many.
to give someone man of the match, though, when you think he should have got a red card.
But that's not his fault, is it? He's still
absolutely not.
So he did what he had to do and pulled off some brilliant saves, which no bigger than the penalty save. So, but for me, I thought he was the man of the match, but it's fine to give it to Munoz, who was outstanding as well. I mean, they could have given it to 4 or 5 of the Palace players because they were so impressive. But yeah, it was for Palace. They deserved it. They were amazing.
You know what was really interesting, and the tactical setup of the game. So we're in the studio, aren't we, Gaz? And Palace are trying to play out. And we're thinking, what on God's earth are they trying to do here? It's clearly not working. Man City are going really high. There's no way out. They kick 2 balls long, back to Man City. Man City recycle the ball and then back down their throats. So I'm thinking, what sort of tactics are these? And then the third one comes in. Mateta gets hold of it.
Brilliant,
Man City are startled. Everyone runs forward. It was perfection. If you ever seen a goal of what they tried to do, they sucked Man City in, let them think they're okay, and then Mateta gets hold of it. As soon as Mateta gets it, they're all gone. And then as soon as Munoz gets it on the right-hand side, forward runners. I just thought it was a great, great goal. And we showed some clips before the game in terms of what potentially could be. But to see it play out in the game after thinking they looked very naive, but then it worked so well, it was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree, because Man City must have watched and know Crystal Palace. They've played against them. They know who and what they are. They know how they like to play. Yet that was classic Crystal Palace. And it was like you've got a coach who said after the game, didn't he? Said, if Man City play the same way against us in a cup final, if we play them, then we'll have the answers. And Glasner did, and Man City knew what Palace were going to do, but they couldn't stop them at that particular time. The ball up to Mateta, the power, the strength to hold it up, the ball in behind running off Munoz, who we've highlighted so many times doing that this season, the picking out of the cross of Eze. So it was just classic Crystal Palace and a great Crystal Palace goal, which they've done so many times this season.
It was a brilliant goal. A superb counter-attack and finished brilliantly by Eberechi Eze, who we did a piece on him before the game with his 2 brothers, which I thought was actually absolutely delightful. He spoke really well, and intelligence and thoughtful, and to deliver on the day and be the man that scores the winning goal. And his story about how he was rejected by different clubs, including the club that he supported, but it's Arsenal. And he went but he always believed. And if ever there's a message to young players that, goes against you a little bit or somebody rejects you, just keep going. You never know. And then he ends up, he's now an England player. He scored for England, and now he's scored the only goal in an FA Cup final. It's the stuff of dreams.
Great story. It is a very, very good player. And he's been sensational the last 2 or 3 months.
He really has. Fantastic stuff. Crystal Palace, first trophy ever. What a moment for them. Congratulations to all involved. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, let's say, the very, very concertinaed situation in terms of the Champions League spots. Looking a bit twitchy, Alan. Back in a moment. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace.
Make your business's greatest play yet, with a website that shifts the game.
Squarespace has all the features you need to build and run the site you've dreamed of, including Blueprint AI for a bespoke layout and marketing tools to spread the word.
And being the star player it is, Squarespace even lets you send invoices and take online payments.
Head to squarespace.com for a free trial and use the offer code FOOTBALL to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. In the second half, we're going to discuss the extraordinary situation now. At least it's given us something to talk about in the remaining week of the season. That's the race for the Champions League spots. It currently stands now after the results over the weekend. Chelsea beating Manchester United, of course, Villa winning, and then Forest winning this afternoon, and then Newcastle losing at Arsenal. And now we've got a situation with Newcastle on 66 points, Chelsea 66 points, Villa 66 points, City 65 points with a game in hand, and Nottingham Forest 65 points as well. 1 point separates 5 teams. Only City have got 2 games to go, and they are Bournemouth at home and Fulham away, and obviously they'll be playing just after they've suffered the defeat in the FA Cup final. I mean, it's going to be a tense last day of the season, Alan.
Yeah, it absolutely. But if you had said to any Newcastle fan, you've got Everton at home, last game of the season, and you win and you go into Champions League football, they would have snapped your hands off for that. And that's the case because it looks as if one of Forest or Chelsea are going to miss out.
They play each other at Forest.
It's a playoff, basically. It's a playoff for Champions League football. I mean, that is one of the biggest games ever.
Huge.
Massive game for those teams. So, it's incredible how tight it is, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Who have Villa got, Gaz?
Villa have got Man United.
Villa have got Man United, who would have just played, obviously, in the Europa League final. And if they win it, they'll be on the party. And if they lose it, they'll be demoralised. So
Villa's last 2 games have
really
been,
well.
I mean, Villa's last 2 games have been Spurs and Man United. If you, in the situation that has happened, if you wanted 2 league games to finish with, you'd have handpicked those 2 because both of them have been hopeless this season in the league, haven't they?
They've had Villa have had a great run of form as well at the right time. Incredible, really.
It's tense, isn't it?
It's so tight. It's so tight. I mean, the game for City now against Bournemouth, they've got to get themselves. Imagine City miss. I mean, I never envisaged, even with their struggles this season, I never thought for a moment that they might even miss out on Champions League places, particularly when you knew it went to 5. But that, I still think they'll make it. That's my view. I still think, I think they'll get a grip of themselves and manage to get.
But they've got Fulham, haven't they? Last game of the season,
Yeah.
Fulham had a good result today, which means they can do something in terms of qualifying. So that makes it even more difficult for Manchester City. So tough. It's really, really tough to call.
I don't know who to pick. I think Man City get 3rd, Newcastle 4th. I don't know. I think Newcastle beat Everton on the last day. But
Newcastle know if they beat Everton, then they've got Champions League football. So that in itself is a positive for them, I think.
I must say I was impressed with Forest's performance today. I think having had a few tough ones in recent weeks and slipping from 3rd down to outside of the Champions League spots, to go to West Ham and win pretty well, I thought that showed, especially after the debacle at the end of the game last week with Nuno Espirito Santo and the owner, and everything was built up, and you just think, I hope this doesn't fall apart for them.
You know what actually happened today, though? They actually, and it's not disrespectful to Nottingham Forest, but they've been known as a transition-based team, low block, but they actually played some very good football today, higher up the pitch. I thought Morgan Gibbs-White was outstanding. Again, some of his touches, some of his passing was brilliant. Wood worked so hard for them. But everyone talks about Murillo, and Murillo's been fantastic. But Milinkovic, the centre-half,
really strong.
Wow. So many blocks and his positioning and when he drops off and when he jumps and his organisation. What a signing he has been. Totally agree
with that. Morgan Gibbs-White I think he's blossoming into a really, really fine footballer. The heavy rumours about Man City, Micah. Have you heard those?
I heard that as well, yeah.
I don't know whether it's true, but,
No, I've
Him
not.
and Florian Wirtz was the other one I heard, who's, we've talked about many times, particularly last season on the podcast and during the Euros. German, obviously international, brilliant talent.
Yeah, I mean, he's top. We've been speaking about him for a while now, and he's been doing it since his young Wirtz. I think he's ready for the next step. It's just because where's he going to play? We talk about players in the system. So Mamouche, is he going to play down the centre? Because a lot of the time, and people don't mention it a lot when they're doing the punditry, Man City play 4-4-2 at times. They play with Haaland and Mamouche.
I thought they did yesterday.
Up top. Yeah. Wirtz, his best position for me is a number 10, but he also can drift to either wing. Really good dribbling, can pass, shoot, and score. You've still got Foden as well. The Foden last season.
What's happened to Phil? That's a really. I don't know. I really, really genuinely hope he bounces back because there's so much talent in there.
With all due respect, we focus on Foden because he's local boy and was player of the season last season and everything else. Other than, I don't know, maybe Vardiol, maybe Nico O'Reilly. Who else has actually improved on last season from Man City?
No one.
No, it's been tough. I think Nuno, the centre mid we got him from Wolves, has done better, but he's playing at fullback because Walker's basically gone on loan. So he's looked a little bit better, but Guardiola's been by far the best player for Man City this year. I agree with you.
Totally agree.
You know who's not a bad shot though as well? McAtee. McAtee is a good player. I don't know if he's ready to start for Man City.
He's not getting in that team though, Micah.
He's not.
He's another one that's going to have to leave.
I'm telling you now, he's not probably the same level as Cole Palmer, but McAtee will go somewhere and he will light it up.
Yeah,
he will light it up. And then
we'll take him at Leicester.
He might kick himself if they let him go, but he's got something. He's got something special. It's just he's not going to start week in, week out for Man City, right, Alan?
So there's 1 point, isn't there? Splits
1 point
to
split in
7.
5 teams at the moment. Obviously, if Man City win their game in hand, then they'll go to 68 points, which would be 2 points clear of the 3 teams behind them and put them in a pretty good position. But then the goal difference, obviously, City's slightly better than everybody else's, but there's not that much in it, except for Aston Villa's, who's well down. Forest is fairly well down. I mean, there's going to be twists and turns. Yeah. I sense our last match of the day of the season will be obviously around the 4th and the Champions League spots. And it might, I don't know whether the plan will be, when we go from one game to another, but it might be one of those and try and steal the Toria this afternoon, which is, it's editorially, it's difficult, but we've done it a few times before. But I don't think we've ever done it with 5 different teams, although it won't be 5 different matches because obviously Forest and Chelsea play each other. So it'll be 4 games. I mean, it could be
that's what it'll be. That's the story of the last day of the season. That's what will be flicking from there to there to there. So it's Do
you think you're going to make it, Alan? I think to have a home game against a club with nothing to play for, who've basically had their last day of the season was today, wasn't it? And I'd just like to say a little bit about the fact that it was the last game ever at Goodison Park. So obviously, I had a year there, and I loved that place. So many amazing memories, and I was so happy that they won. I was happy for David Moyes. I was happy for the Everton fans. I was happy that Pickford had a clean sheet after all he's done for the club. I know they're just moving to fresh ground, and it's not like they're not getting relegated or anything. But the emotion after and the tears it means so much, and it's been their ground for such a long time.
Yeah,
it's wonderful place.
Been people's life going to Goodison Park for so many years, and they've had. I mean, me personally, I've had good and bad memories. Scored there, lost there, won there. I snapped my ankle there. I was out for 7 months. It wasn't against Everton, but I did it in a pre-season game. So in the pre-season tournament at Goodison Park. So it's a wonderful old ground. It really is, and it was. You could see the emotion with fans and players today. What it's meant to them over the years.
Tough to go there, wasn't it? What a ground! Atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. They felt like the fans were on you, really enclosed. Yeah, some great games we've had there. But I think the wider point on that is more that it's going to the women's.
Which is great. When I heard that, I thought that's a really brilliant idea.
I think it's great, and it shows how far women's football has come. And I think that was a really great move from Everton as well.
Yeah.
And another thing about how well has he done, by the way, David Moyes. I mean, oh my
Amazing.
God.
Well, it's
Like,
all started with
incredible.
us, mate. At the Euros, drinking the vino, telling stories, talking tactics, you know. He come out the gate, he refreshed, and we got him back in there, you know.
I'd love to take some credit, but I think we're stretching it. We're stretching our influence a little bit there, lads. Just a little bit. Before we go, one final thing. Jamie Vardy, last game for Leicester City. He'd played 499 games. He'd scored 199 goals. And you all thought they'd announced already this is going to be his last game. He's not going to be playing the last game away from home. They just wanted it to finish there. So, and you think, God, what happens if he doesn't score? Of course he scores. Wow. What a legend. What a man. What a moment. And he ran to the corner flag, didn't he? Raised the corner flag like he's
what a guy. What
great
a
little
guy.
finish as well. Do you know what? I knew he would score it. I just knew he would do it because that's the kind of guy he is. But what isn't that beautiful symmetry? 500 appearances, 200 goals for Leicester City. What an achievement. What a brilliant.
Leicester's
we love him. We
greatest
love
ever.
him. Yeah. What a perfect way to finish. What you say? I wouldn't disagree, Micah. I wouldn't. Definitely of the last couple of 20 years or so.
Can you imagine this bloke from non-league football, £1 million, and doing what he's done? You've just 200 goals. I mean, oh my God, it's the stuff of dreams, isn't it? It's like incredible. So what a way for him to go out here. He's had an unbelievable career at Leicester. It's incredible.
Can't we get him on the pod, guys? You know, Leicester, your connections and all that.
I'd love to get him on the pod. I'd definitely love to get it. So, Jamie, if you're listening, sure you are. Not. Maybe. We'd love you to come on. I'll try. Speaking of which, the second episode of the Duncan Ferguson interview is out on Wednesday. I got amazing feedback from the first one. I mean, I thought it was really quite moving, actually, in many ways, and his incredible life that he's lived. The second of those two episodes will be out on Wednesday. And then at the end of the week, we'll be looking, obviously, about how the Champions League spots are going, and also the Europa League final, which is, I mean, talk about a huge game for both clubs. I mean, winner takes it all, don't they? Champions League spot and a trophy, and the losers, woof.
Who do you see as favourites? Spurs, because of the record against Man United this season?
Maybe, but Man U seem to win trophies even when they're not very good. And they've done that in the last few years. Whether they can sustain that, I don't know. I think Kulusevski and Maddison, losing both those two, it's just like, it sums up the season in many ways. It's had a lot of bad luck, despite whatever you say. They have had a lot of bad luck with injuries, and they had a bit more. I don't know. I think it's, I mean, if you could predict that, you have no idea what could happen. Could be anything. What do you think, Al?
I mean, they have been, how can I think of it, rotten in the Premier League, haven't they? In the Premier League.
Rancid.
Rancid and rotten. Yeah. Rancidly rotten they've been. They're both of them in the Premier League, yet one of them is going to be playing Champions League football next season. Wow.
Who's winning it for you, Micah?
I think you made a good point about Kulusevski and Maddison. I actually think in the Europa League, Bruno Fernandes has been exceptional. So I think it could come to a big moment where he steps up. So I'm going to say United just...
Did you see, while you mentioned Bruno Fernandes, the cross-stroke pass for Harry Maguire's disallowed goal by VAR? I mean, whoa, that was tasty, wasn't it?
You know what?
Against Chelsea on Friday night, if you've not seen it.
About the situation with Man United, obviously they've not been at the level we all expect them to be. But Bruno Fernandes this season, amongst all the nonsense and the talk and the bad performances, he really has stepped up. And I think he's the man to make the difference in the final.
So, okay, let's have a prediction.
Just before that, I just want to say that I always think to spot a really, really, really top player, is when they stand out in a side that are struggling. And I think that's a really good sign. But So what were you going to say, Alan?
My prediction is going to be 2-2 or 3-3 after extra time and Spurs to win on penalties.
Oh, he's gone full on there. Wow. Sounds like the World Cup final.
Come on, boys, give us one.
I'm going to have to go for Spurs. I couldn't not.
After 90 minutes?
Well, I've got this feeling that it's the teams that have not won for ages this year. And I think they're going to... I don't know about 90 minutes or... I think it could easily go to extra time.
Big meets?
I'm going to say, I think a lot of people have laughed off Casemiro or laughed at him for a while now. But I think... in these competitions, sometimes it goes down to set pieces. So I'm going to say Bruno assist for a Casemiro goal, 1-0.
Yeah, and plenty of fantasy points for that. Actually, don't count assists. Thank you very much, chaps. That's it for this week. Don't forget to tune in to the Duncan Ferguson second episode. That's on Wednesday. But for now, goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week.